comments. As a courtesy to everyone here tonight, please make sure that all cell phones are turned off. Please note that tonight's Planning Commission meeting will be rebroadcast via CityLink and posted on the www.minnehahacounty.org site for viewing by the general public. Any final action taken on the conditional use permit applications tonight will take effect 5 working days following this meeting unless a written appeal of the Planning Commission's decision is filed in the Planning Office by Monday, August 30th at 5 p.m. In the event of an appeal, the decision will be referred to the County Commission for a hearing on Tuesday, September 21st at or after 9 a.m. The affected parties will be notified of the meeting date. Meetings of the County Commission are held in this same room. Action taken on the text amendment during the public hearing tonight is a recommendation that will be forwarded to the County Commission for another public hearing on Tuesday, September 28th at or after 9 a.m. Meetings of the County Commission are held in this same room. First on the agenda is public input. Is there anyone who wishes to speak on any item that is not on the agenda? At this time, the Planning Commission will consider the consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are perceived to be non-controversial and meet all of the requirements of the codes and regulations. The consent agenda will be acted on in one motion with no public hearing on the items unless a member of the public, the commission, or staff requests the item be removed from the consent agenda. The minutes from the May 20th meeting are included in the consent. No, that should be the July 26th meeting, are included in the consent agenda. Does any Planning Commission member wish to have an item removed for any discussion? Next, I'll read each item on the consent agenda and ask if there are any issues or comments from the staff or the audience. And if any member of the staff or the audience would like to be heard on the item, please raise your hand, and the item will be moved to the regular agenda to allow you to address the commission later in the meeting. Any items remaining on the consent agenda will be approved by the Planning Commission with the conditions recommended by staff. Okay, item number 1 is the minutes of the July 26th meeting. Item number 2 is conditional use permit 21-57 to transfer 4 building eligibilities from the southwest quarter, and there's an exception of Sundall's Track and the northeast, or the north half, southeast quarter. Another exception, Lot H1 to the north half, southeast quarter. Another exception of Lot H1. All in Section 10 of Lyons Township. Petitioner is Mike Langenfeld. He's also the property owner. This is located 3 miles northeast of Lyons. Sir, do you wish to speak on this item?
Yes, please. I didn't know if this is the correct time.
Sure, come forward.
You would like it.
I'm not the petitioner, no.
Okay, please come forward. You state your name and address.
Okay. Terry Kleinert, I'm at 25146 470th Avenue. I assume you guys have this map. My driveway is basically right above that checkerboard. So I'm basically right next to the property that's proposed here. I took some notes because I knew I'd be nervous, but first of all, I'd like to thank the Planning Committee for my ability to have input on this matter. This greatly affects my life. Mrs. Neiman and I spoke on Sunday. She was going to be here, but her husband is in failing health, and she couldn't make it. But she expressed the same concerns as I'm going to lay forward. This movement to allow clustering of acreages devalues our property and undoubtedly affects our enjoyment of country living. Both Neiman's and I bought our homes that are on and within established acreages that have existed for over 100 years. I myself have been out there 34 years. Creating a subdivision of homes next to us is contrary to the zone ag use in our area. In Neiman's case, the property would be used to utilize his tree grove as a windbreak for these new additions. Allowing a cluster of homes next to our century-old acreages will certainly devalue our property. And we do appreciate a landowner's right to do what they want on their property, as long as it's following the zoning regulations and his property is zoned for agriculture, allowing for a housing eligibility, I'm sure I don't have to tell you, 1 on every 40 acres. Clustering these homes next to our residents will absolutely impair our value. So I ask, why should we allow this movement just to improve the value of their land while decreasing the value of ours? Permitting this conditional use will be detrimental to our existing neighborhood. Thank you very much. Any questions, I guess?
Any questions for him? Guess not. Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
Anyone else in the audience care to speak to this item? Commissioners? Doug?
I kind of agree with what he says. I know putting them that close together, and you're going to be fairly close to a rather large confinement in Bodewines. So, and I just feel, you know, you get a group of houses that close together, it just, we're going to have another issue of people complaining, even though it's the right to farm, but people will be screaming all the time about something that might go on that I feel we shouldn't allow a transfer of this many eligibilities to one spot. Thank you.
Any other comments, commissioners?
Madam Chair,
Jeff?
you know, I certainly understand our neighbor here, and I also understand Doug, but it's pretty routine for us to allow eligibility transfers, you know, as long as it fits with the, you know, contiguous property issue. And I don't know. I just thought I'd mention it's pretty normal for us to allow it.
Any other comments, commissioners?
Madam Chair, how close is the Bodewine Dairy to this, where this is happening? Half mile.
I think it says 3/4 here.
I mean, I agree with what Commissioner Barr said, but it's also right next to, close to that dairy, and we cluster them and, you know, away from the confinements is the way I think we've been kind of doing it, but.
Any other comments?
And so that's Bodewines at the top of the map there?
Madam Chair,
Becky?
I'm just wanting to clarify the setback from the dairy for that many animal units. I should know it by heart. I can look it up too.
Yeah, it would be in additional use regulations. I believe that you can reduce it to a half a mile with trees. So I think that it would be close, but they could organize it in a matter to stay outside of that half mile range.
So question for Kevin. Madam
Go ahead,
Chair, if I may. You know, the requirement is necessary requirement for the dairy, not necessarily a requirement for the homeowners or who are to move on to these new conditional or these new building eligibilities. But we won't have to retroactively go back to the dairy now and say, hey, and I know the answer is more of a point, that we're not putting new rules and regulations on the dairy or put new restrictions on them by moving these by any means. So.
Madam
Beth?
Chair, you know, on the one hand, these eligibilities could be used right where they are, you know, also pretty close to the dairy, but were the Bodewines on the list of properties that were notified of this? Excuse me. Everybody was nodding, but that didn't make it on TV here.
Comment, would you come up, you'll have to come back up to the podium.
Terry Clennert. I spoke with Lynn Bodwine today. He was going to attend also, but he had a big important meeting that showed up on his calendar. People were flying in from all over the place to meet with him. He thought he was going to send his brother, but apparently that didn't work out either. So,
Pardon me, can I ask him a question?
Yeah, sure. You
So,
come back up.
did he express an opinion?
yes, he did. He did not want to stir the water. That's all I can really say, because he does come to us a lot with a lot of his stuff that he does. He gets approval from the whole neighborhood. Anybody that's affected by anything he does, he gets approval first. And he basically just said, you know, I've never had to go across that land. He drags manure tubes and stuff everywhere around the 5-section area. He said he's never touched that land yet, but he said one day he might have to. So that was his concern on standing up against it.
Thank you. Madam Chair.
Jeff.
So Scott, the applicant for this move is not here, right?
I don't believe so.
Okay. I'm going to make a motion to deny this.
I'll second it.
Okay. I have a motion and second to deny the conditional use permit, 21-57. Any further discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I think it was passed. I think the amount of people that voted, it was denied.
Was it 5-1? I know Adam voted. It sounded like it.
Yeah.
Okay, we need to go back to item 1. Can I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved. I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we'll move on to the regular agenda. Item number 3, the zoning text amendment. Scott?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Scott Anderson, Planning Director. Once again, this is a public hearing on a zoning text amendment 2105. This is to revise the zoning ordinance to add medical cannabis dispensary regulations. As I indicated before, last November, there was a vote by the citizens of the state to allow medical marijuana and medical cannabis, and it was approved. That vote took effect. The vote took effect on July 1st. The South Dakota Department of Health is working through administrative process right now and procedures, and anticipates those rules to become effective approximately by October 29th. While the state is working on their rules on how to administer this, we must look at local zoning and how we will adopt it and address the local land use issues that are going to be associated with medical cannabis. As I had indicated earlier, there was a task force that was made up of elected officials from many of the municipalities in the area, as well as staff members, and they met 3 times in July, and we crafted a response to how we would deal with medical cannabis, and that information and that consensus was put forth in an ordinance amendment, which is before you now. So I will go over once again what this does.
Madam Chair, if this is exactly the same as your previous presentation, inasmuch as we're the same exact group, I wonder if our civil attorney might decide that it's moot to do that, and we could just proceed to discussion and/or voting.
Madam Chair, Eric Fogg for the State's Attorney's Office. I would just say that's at the discretion of the board and the chair, whether or not they want to hear the presentation again.
Scott, much as I love to hear you, I would move that we go forward here, and since we've all read this and discussed it in the previous meeting.
There is one item I do need to indicate, that the definition, the number of the definition needs to be 437 and not 473.
What page is that on?
It's the last item, the definition.
Thank you.
So it's section 3, which is sets the definitions. It should be 437. And this is a public hearing, so you will need to ask for any public input.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wants to address this item?
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve this in Minnehaha County.
Madam Chair, I'll second.
Okay, I have a motion and second to approve the zoning text amendment 21-05. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Oppose?
Aye.
Okay, let's see.
Can I
I'm
call the roll?
Yeah. Roll call vote. Becky Randall,
Aye.
Adam Morhauser,
Aye.
Doug Odie,
Nay.
Mike Ralston,
Aye.
Ryan Vanderflit,
Nay.
Jeff Barth.
Aye.
Motion passes. Item number 4, old business. I attended the commission meeting last week about the Lyme issue. Kevin, can you give us an update about what transpired with that?
Yes, good evening, Kevin Hookman, County Planning Department. Let's see if I can make it through. I just will pull up the map here. So if you all can recall, last month we covered a item for lime storage and transfer for an agricultural operation on this property north of Renner. The item was approved at the County Planning Commission meeting here. It was appealed to the Board of Commissioners. At the petitioner, after hearing lots of, there was a lot of other kind of comments and stuff from the neighbors that were received by staff. It was also revealed to staff that that the lime is distinctly listed as a solid waste in the solid waste ordinance. So once approved, if he would have gone forward, he would have been required to apply for a solid waste ordinance as well, or permit as well, which is a similar process, goes through the same board process, review process. And then ultimately, the petitioner decided to withdraw the application. The withdrawal came the morning of the hearing. Because it was approved here, it was recommended it was denied at the county commission meeting, so the county commission did deny the permit application. None of the neighbors did speak because it was just denied prior to the hearing, so to speak. Yeah. So that's the update, and from the petitioner and the petitioner's son, they have commented they have other land. They may be presenting the same proposal to us at another time. So we'll see where that happens.
Thank you.
Do they have a
Go ahead.
time frame to get it off of there then, or not?
Adam?
Yes.
Yes, they do need to get it off. We're going to always check it here this next week to make sure that he's starting to get it off. My understanding, he is getting it off, but I'm not sure how quick that's happening. But now that some of the crops are starting to come off fields for silage, that I think that'll start coming here real soon. So,
Any further questions for him?
Kevin, do you have
Yep.
a set time date when you'd like to have it off?
I have not set a time date yet, no.
What would,
You,
the amount that's out there, what would you realistically see?
realistically, it took probably 3 weeks to place it there, so I think once we review it and send them that final letter after that review, I'd give them probably 3 weeks.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. Any new business? Okay,
Move to adjourn the Minnehaha County Planning Commission meeting.
I'll second it.
motion and second for adjournment. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose? Motion passes.